In early 2026, a fundamental assumption in the AI industry just broke. For years, the rule was simple. Better performance meant a higher price. The most expensive, closed-off models were always the best. And that was the rule. Well, not anymore. Let's dig into how the entire AI stack got turned on its head.
It all really starts with this number, 30 cents per million tokens. You see, for the longest time, a price tag this low meant you were getting a much, much worse while. It was a trade-off that no serious engineering team would ever make for their core products. But then, in February 2026, that trade-off just vanished. This became the price for top-tier, frontier-level AI.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about the great model compression. This is what broke the link between price and performance. Then we'll dig into the wild new economics of what we're calling the 1/20th cost rule. Third, and this is crucial, we'll show you where the real performance comes from now, something called the agent harness multiplier. And finally, we'll give you a whole new strategic playbook for how to win in this new world.
All right, so let's get into what actually caused this massive shift. For years, the equation was simple. You spend more, you get a better model. That fundamental link, it's been completely severed. Performance and price have gone their separate ways.
Okay, so what you're looking at here is the March 2026 leaderboard for SWE-bench. It's a super tough benchmark that tests how well these models handle real-world coding problems. And yeah, at the top, you've got the big names, the expensive proprietary models, no surprise there. But wait a second, look closer. Squeezed right in there is MiniMax M2.5. An open weight model. That means its guts, the architecture and weights are out there for everyone. And it's just 0.6 percentage points behind the leader. In the real world, that's basically a rounding error. It's nothing.
And this is the heart of the whole story, right here. On one side, you've got performance that's practically identical. The capability gap is tiny. On the other side, a price gap that is just a massive chasm. We're talking almost 20 times the cost to get the same job done.
So that naturally leads us to the economics of all this. The old way of thinking about value is completely gone, and it's been replaced by a really brutal new cost reality, especially for those premium model companies.
$25. That's what it costs to process 1 million output tokens using the top-of-the-line proprietary model Claude Opus 4.6. This was the price you paid for the best of the best. And then there's this, $1.20. That's the price for the open weight competitor to do the exact same work. The difference is just insane, and it completely rewrites the playbook for anyone building AI products. And this wasn't just a one-off thing. You can see here, this was happening across the board. The whole market was compressing. And then, look all the way down at the bottom. The open weight model DeepSeek v3.2 just blows the floor out from under everyone, setting a brand new, incredibly low price for what a powerful model should cost. This is what we're now calling the cost floor. 28 cents. That's the new rock bottom price for a model that can handle serious, production-level work. Any penny you spend above that, you're just paying a premium for a tiny and honestly probably unnecessary edge. And it gets even crazier. DeepSeek then added this brilliant feature, automatic context caching. So for tasks where the AI has to look at the same information over and over, this trick slashes input costs by another 90%. We're talking about fractions of a penny for really complex AI work. It's unbelievable. So, okay, if the top models are all basically the same level of good, but the prices are all over the place, where do you actually get a competitive advantage? Well, the answer totally changes the game. It's not about the model anymore. It's about everything you build around it. This is the question every single CTO should be losing sleep over right now. I mean, really? If you can get 80% on a critical benchmark for 30 cents, why on earth would you pay 25 bucks? And if everyone can get that same cheek power, how do you win? Well, the answer is right here in the data, and it's pretty shocking. Check this out. You take the exact same model with a basic setup, what we call a scaffold, it scores a 23%. But then you swap out that basic setup for a really well-engineered, multi-step scaffold, and the score jumps to over 45%. It more than doubles. Remember, the model didn't change at all. The infrastructure is what made all the difference. Let me break it down like this, because this is the whole takeaway. You can spend a ton of money swapping between the big, expensive models, and maybe you'll squeeze out an extra point of performance. Or
you can improve your engineering, your harness, and get a massive 22-point game. The real power isn't in the model you buy, it's in the infrastructure you build.
And we've got a name for this whole system, the agent harness. It's not just the model, it's the scaffold, the tooling, the way you handle context and retries, all of it. It's the thing that actually multiplies the model's power. Look, don't just take my word for it. The best AI for coding report from this year put it perfectly. The scaffold accounts for a 22-point swing, model swaps account for about 1 point. Optimize your agent harness first, not your model selection. That's it. That's the new rule.
Okay, so what does this all mean for you, for your team? It means you have to throw out the old playbook and start fresh with a completely new strategy. So here's your new mandate. First, stop throwing money at premium models. Stop overinvesting in them. Start thinking of them like a commodity, like electricity. Your real investment, your secret weapon, is your agentic infrastructure. This means your team has to get really good at context engineering, things like RAG, compaction, just-in-time retrieval. You've got to empower your engineers to build these amazing harnesses, not just pick a model from a drop-down menu. The new investment flow is actually pretty simple. Step 1, go find a good enough open-weight model that's sitting on that cost floor we talked about. Step 2, take all that money you just saved, and it's going to be a lot of money, and pour it into your engineering team. Step 3, their new #1 job is to build the most optimized agent harness and context system possible. And what's the result? You get way better performance for a tiny fraction of what you used to pay. And the best part? You own your competitive advantage now. You're not just renting it anymore. So, this all boils down to one final, critical question you have to ask yourself. As this whole AI stack flips upside down, where are you putting your money? Are you still paying for brand names and model hype, chasing that extra 0.5% on a leaderboard? Or are you going to invest in your own people to engineer real, defensible performance that actually saves you money? Because in 2026, the answer to that question is going to separate the winners from